Hi guys, how are you doing? If you're new here, my name is Rodian and today I'm going to show you how to do a recess joint on your freshly laid brickwork. Before we get too far, a couple of tools that you're going to need before we get into this. Number one is a chariot. This is a fantastic tool specifically for raking out the joints. You can use a screw and a bit of wood, but I would advise against it because you will smudge your brickwork with it. With this you've got the little wheels that go around and the muck comes out, but I'll show you how it works in a minute. And also you're going to need a tuck pointer. Some people have called it a finger tool, a finger trowel. I've never heard that before in my life, but each their own. And this one is an 8mm. Now, the reason why I use an 8mm as opposed to a 10mm is because if your joints are slightly below 10mm, which I like to have them, then a 10mm won't fit in. So I find 7 or 8mm is perfect size. 6 I think is a bit too small, but yeah, so between 7 and 8 is perfect. Okay, so that being said, let's get you up here and show you how it's done. Right, so the first thing you need to do before you start jointing this up is you need to set the depth of your recess that you want in your wall. Now, I find a 5-6 mil recess is ideal. Anywhere up to sort of 10 mil, that's a bit much, I find. But it all depends really on the scope of the brickwork and or your taste and how you want it really. But for this case, I'm just going to do a nice 5 mil recess. So what you need is a chariot. This is a Marshalltown chariot, and I'll just show you exactly how it works. So if you grab a tape measure and your chariot, links to all tools down in the description if you do want to pick one of these up or have a look. But yeah, once you grab that, then we'll get sized up. Right, okay, so this is your chariot. When you buy these, they normally come with a nail in it, but I've lost many a nail over the years, so I just sling a 3-inch nail in there and it works perfectly. There's that little hole there, so pop that in there and do this tighten this wing nut up and that'll tighten it up. But in that case, that is miles too much because you want to look at where these wheels are. So align your sight with the wheels, and there you go. That's way too much. That's like 30mm or 40mm. So what you do is you undo that, and I'd say it looks about there, but obviously what you do is you tighten it up from that point. Get your tape measure and measure from that wheel out, and that looks like that is cool. That's what, about 20mm or something like that. So I need to bring that right in. Let's have a look. Maybe about there. Right, that's 10mm. I'll tell you what, I'll get this to 6mm and I'll get back to you because it's hard doing this through a camera. Right, so we're at 6mm, a nice little bit of nail poking out the bottom there. Make sure that's nice and tight so that it doesn't come loose and your nail comes out a bit more. But essentially what you do with this is exactly the same as if you were jointing up with a pointing tool. You work, not in the case of using the arm and the shoulder, but you work with the perps first and then you do the beds. But it is a lot simpler. You just hold your hand, hold the tool like so with your thumb on it, sort of put that nail in and you just run up and down. Now you do this over the whole wall, sort of working its way through, like so. What I'll do is I'll do this little section here first, just a few, and again, if you want to turn it upside down to do those bottom few because the floor's in the way, then that's obviously the way it's got to be done. Now the back of this tool, you can use it to smooth it over, which is what it's meant for, but I like to use the tuck pointer. However, I like to use this tool for the perps and I like to use the tuck pointer for the rest of it. So what I do, just do these couple here, and then you work on the beds. Now this will happen. It will push it against the brickwork. Now I have it slightly on camber, so most of the pressure is on this wheel. So if this does happen, then there's not much pressure of this pushing it into the brickwork. So you want to do this when it is a lot sort of drier, so that you don't smudge the brickwork. If it's too wet, this is going to happen and it's going to smudge the hell out of your bricks. So you want to be careful. It's going to be practice to find out at what point you You can start the jointing. In this case it's fine because I'm straight off the back of doing the video you last saw of me just half round jointing the brickwork, so I know it's right. But basically what happens when this happens, once you've gone over it and smoothed over all of the perps and the beds, you'll brush it and this will all come off dead easy. Absolutely dead easy, as I will demonstrate in a moment. So I'll just do this section to show you. Now on a lot of modern builds I find that recessed joint is becoming a lot more common. People are liking it because it does emphasise the brick a lot more as opposed to the regular half round tool joint. Now I like to use this just to pull those bits out. In this case that's a little bit tight, so I might have to use something else for that. I should have got a 6mm one of these. So you just pull that excess out. Now, as I just showed you, even an 8mm is a little bit too tight for some of these. Just goes to show I like a skinny joint, but the ones that I can fit in, you just brush it over like so. With these ones, I'll tell you what, I'll have to cut that down. I'll have to get another one. Do you know what? I don't think that's going to fix it up. I'll have to use this. Use it on the other side, and that will finish that up nicely. It's going to get brushed over anyway. You get a nice clean finish with that, and it done half look nice. Oh, it does fit in there. Look at that, that's coming up beautiful, that is. And again, top and tail, it's not quite the same as top and tailing with regular brickwork. So you go through them, and that finishes that up nicely. And then all you do from there, I'll tell you what, I'll do the whole wall and then we'll brush it off all in one go. But just actually no, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll brush this off and I'll show you the difference. What I mean about how it brings out the brick a bit more. Because we got normal pointing and we got recessed pointing here, so I'll brush that off. As you can see, that muck comes off quite easily. Just brush all the muck out of those joints. In this, okay, so before I told you to work in circles when brushing it. When it comes to this, you do that to start with, but then you work along the perps, along the beds and along the perps to get it nice and smooth, to get all that excess out from inside those gaps. So it's a slightly different process to brushing. You do the perps and then you go along the beds and it will clean all those joints out and it'll come up looking nice like so. So I'll take a step back and I'll show you the difference from sort of a few steps back. So this section here is the recess joint, and as you can probably tell from these bricks above, you get slight shadows. If I lift that camera up a bit, you can definitely see the shadows on the top, but there's not a lot of light out today. But when it shines, the sun shines on it, you can really tell the brick stands out a lot more than these over here. But with this light, it doesn't really show it as well on camera. But if I come in a bit closer, that looks better. There you go. You can see the sort of the recess, the dark sort of shadow there, and over here it just looks straight flush. It does look nice, the old recess joint. I'm sort of a little bit on the fence about it. I think it looks good on a modern build, like offices. It looks good, or something along those lines. But when it comes to rustic builds, something a bit more traditional, I would say either the regular pointing or what we're going to do next episode, which is the weather struck and point. But what I'll do is I'll quickly go over and do the rest of it now, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the whole wall when it's done, how it's looking nice finished up. Now with this joint, I've done it 6mm. But there's a couple of things. One, when you want to sort of rake out and repoint, you want to go at least 10mm deep. That is because you get a lot more purchase. The muck sticks in it a lot more when you come to repoint it. And also, if for example I built this whole wall and I didn't want it this sort of yellow colour, say I wanted to use black muck, you rake it out 10mm deep and then you just repoint it in black muck. That way you don't have to waste a lot of money on just dyeing the whole load of muck when you knock it up. All you have to do is just knock up a gauge and then just point the whole lot in afterwards, and you use a fraction of the amount of dye. So that's another reason that you can use the old chariot and rake it out if you want to repoint it in a different colour, or if someone has hired you to repoint their house, you grind it out, or depending on how soft it is, you probably won't be using a chariot, you'll grind it out, but it goes about 10mm deep. But in this case, I think 6mm is a nice sort of size. You can play around 6mm, 12mm, sort of 8mm, have a little go and try different depths and see. It's personal preference really, see what you like. But I reckon 6mm are nice. It's a nice sort of shallow depth, and it's not too overpowering. But if you've got a very nice, clean, crisp brick, maybe a 10mm might look nice on it. But also take into consideration how deep in your frog goes. If it's very close to the edge, I can't imagine it being any less than 10mm. But you might see it if you go too far in. So just be aware of that when you're doing this. Okay, so we're going through there, top course. Now you don't have to use the tool to go over it. You can just brush it over and it will naturally find its sort of depth, but I find that putting that tool over it just makes it so much nicer, because you haven't got a load of lines everywhere. So from there you get your tuck pointer and you just go over it like that. It comes up real nice. Nice, just smooths it over, get a nice finish to it. And yeah, it comes up nice. And it just goes to show my joints are quite tight, because if that's 8mm and it's struggling to get into a couple of them, then yeah, I do like a tight joint. What can I say? I should have bought 6mm. Oh well, such is life. And those ones, just get the end of that in there. That's fine. Bit of excess there. These bottoms can be tricky, so just use the end of your tuck pointer to just cut that bit out at the bottom, and you're laughing, you're away with the fairies if you go. There we go. Give that a brush off and that'll come up nice. Oh, let's take all that off the bottom first. Clean the bottom up a little bit. So just brush all that residue off your bricks, and then sort of up and down off these perps. Clean those perps out a bit, and then do the beds. Go along with your tool, your tuck pointer, and just get those little bits that are a bit fiddly. You can cut these down so you can get in those perps a lot more easily, but I find the combination of these three, you'll always get a nice finish, and that's coming up real nice. I like that. That's looking good. Trim little bits off here and there. It's a little bit more time consuming doing it this way than just regular half round tool, but you get that different effect that some people do want. Take that bit of time, and yeah, it's coming up real nice, that. Right, okay, I'll grab you and just show you from this sort of angle how it looks. Right, and there we go. You can see that shadow sitting on there quite nicely. It does accentuate that brickwork a lot more. Yeah, I think it comes up quite nice. Like I say, it's not my most favourite joint, but like I say, the customer wants it, the customer's going to get it. You've got to be good at doing pretty much everything, no matter whether you like it or not. But like I say, it does very much suit a more modern build, or something more of a commercial. Whereas with a rustic, nice stock, it can look nice, but my personal preference is either a half round tool joint or what we're going to do next episode, which is weather stroke and point. Right, okay, so that's that. Right, okay guys, there we go. That is how you do a recessed joint on your fresh new brickwork. Coming up nice, looking very good. Again, play around with that 6mm, you can make it 8mm, 10mm, 12mm. I wouldn't go any more than 12mm, but like I said, have a play around. Just be careful of the distance from the face of your brick to the frog. If you go too far, sometimes the frogs are a lot closer than these are. But have a play around, and yeah, leave a like down below if you've enjoyed this video, subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you guys in the next one where we are going to be doing weather stroke and point. So take care, and I'll see you then. Ta-ra. Hi guys, how are you doing? If you're new here, my name is Rodian, and today I'm going to show you how to do, what's it fucking called? Recess joint. Okay. Hi guys, how are you doing? Need a fucking tape measure. It normally comes with a nail, but I've lost many a nail for this over the year. So basically all you do is this little hole here, you undo this wing nut, you wait for this goddamn plane to go overhead. The reason why I use an 8mm, as in regular tooled, the iron, what am I talking about? The bloody, what's it called? I can't think of the name of it. Jointing iron, pointing tool. Oh, I'm waffling on, I don't know what I'm waffling on about. Sort of, get your tool and not like that.